Okay, so we will start today on our backs, soles of the feet to the mat. Lie down, resting the head on the mat. And let's just start with the knees together, the feet wide. So crawl the feet out to the outer edges of the mat, arms down by the sides, close the eyes. And then you can bring the left hand on the heart, right hand on the belly. And we'll just start by coming to the breath. So take a deeper breath in through the nose. Back out through the mouth, nice and slow. Deep breath in through the nose. Make this one longer than the first one. Exhale back out through the mouth. See if you can make this exhale longer. You have to keep pushing. Then inhale, breathe in through the nose. And back out through the mouth. Inhale in through the nose. Hold it at the very top. Keep the lips sealed and slowly press the air back out through the nose. Ujjayi breath. In through the nose. Right back out through the nose. Stay with this breath as long as you can. Accept that you might lose track of it at some point, and the practice is just coming back to it. Quicker and quicker. And you'll start to blink open the eyes, heel toe the feet, more like hip width distance apart. So the knees are right in front of the hips. And then reach the arms up, palms face away from you. Bring the right arm in front of the left arm. So you're trying to cross as high up as you can on the arms, and then turn the palms to face down toward the ground, and then sneak the fingers underneath you. So like you're trying to grab the shoulder blades and pull them apart. And we want those elbows down like they're going down toward the stomach, shoulders away from the ears. And we're starting to get into the shoulders here. It's a nice, gentle way to come into it. If it doesn't feel gentle, then back off a little bit. See if you can continue on with the breath. Reach the arms back up to the sky, palms face away from you, and we'll switch. Left arm in front of the right, cross up high, then turn the palms to face down, slide the hands underneath you, like you're giving yourself a big hug, and keep those elbows moving away from the face, shoulders away from the ears. Some slow breaths here. Then reach the arms all the way back up. Interlace the fingers back behind the head. So now you're opening up across the chest, letting the elbows come down toward the ground so you get that width there. And then bring the knees and the feet all the way together. Lift the knees up so they're right in line with the hips. Take a look up so that you stay with the chest lifted. Take an inhale where you are. On the exhale, lift the shoulder blades up and away from the mat. Inhale back. Exhale up. So more up than forward. Inhale back. Exhale up. And if the knees are coming in toward the chest, move them away from you. Inhale back. Exhale up. Stay up. Extend the left leg. Twist to the right. So slow bicycles. Come back to center. Twist to the left. Back to center. Twist to the right. Back to center. Twist to the left, and you're not trying to connect the elbow with the knee. So keep the elbows wide. Back to center, twisting to the right. Back to center, twisting to the left. One more cycle. Back to center, twist to the right. Back to center, twist to the left. Then come back to center, knees and feet stay up, but you can let the head come back down onto the mat and then reach the arms up the way we did before, palms face away from you. Bring the right arm on top of the left arm. And then this time, instead of what we did before, you'll take eagle arms. So you'll bring the backs of the forearms together. Maybe you even slide those left fingertips inside of the palm of the right hand. And from here, cross the right leg high up over the left leg. So it's like eagle on your back. So that right foot can kick out to the side. Maybe some of you can hook it. Don't really try for the hook all that hard, only if it's right there. We don't want to come too deep into this too soon. So squeeze the thighs together, however you have them, and then move the elbows away from the knees. So the knees and the elbows move apart. They won't go that far. And then come back to center, elbows in line with the shoulders, knees in line with the hips. And then try to extend, move those fingertips back behind you, and then bring it back to center. So it's a small movement, but one you feel in the core pretty much right away. Keep going at this pace, keeping it slow and controlled. Head still resting down on the mat. And do one more. Back to center, knees together. So uncross the legs, reach the arms up, palms face away from you, left arm on top of the right arm. Start with the eagle arms first. So you can do backs of the forearms. Maybe the right hand comes inside of the left hand, only if that's easy. And then left leg crosses high up over the right thigh. Squeeze the thighs together. And then start to extend. So legs go forward or legs go away from you and hands reach back behind you. Back to center, extend. Back to center, extend. Back to center, extend. Back to center, this is the last one, extend. Back to center, unravel the legs and the arms, hug the knees in toward the chest. You can rock side to side. And then set the feet down onto the mat, roll over to your right side, use the hands to bring yourself up to seated. And we'll come straight into tabletop, all fours. So once you come into tabletop, we'll do a few rounds of cat-cow breath. So spread the fingers wide on inhale, reach the heart forward, lift the tail. On the exhale, round the whole spine. You keep going on your own, eyes open or closed, whichever one you feel more comfortable with and whichever one helps you start to connect with your body a little bit more. So you can check in, see how you're feeling. One more, forward and back. And then you'll come back to tabletop. So from here, bring that right knee as far forward as you can. So it's going up toward the hands. And then kick that right foot so that it goes outside of the left thigh. And then bring that right thigh back. So you're crossing the knees again or crossing the thighs up again. Feet go out a little bit. So you want enough room so that the hips can sit back, but we're not going to sit all the way back. So you'll just start to bring the hips back so they hover above the mat and you'll start to feel an opening across the hips here. It's just like downward facing dog with the legs crossed underneath you. So you want to hover above the mat, feels pretty good. Let the head and the neck go. If it doesn't feel pretty good, you can just come to seated and skip this. And you can do the bottom leg forward and just cross the top leg. So half Gomukhasana. And then if you are with me, bring the hips down between the feet and come up to seated. So just a different way to get into that. You might need to adjust the feet. Make sure you're not sitting on the feet or the calves, ankles. So feet are on the ground. And then we'll just start to walk the hands forward and come into the hip opening. So let the head and the neck go. We're just starting out. So don't go into the deepest hip opening. Just go part of the way in. Start to breathe into the hips. You can let the head and the neck go if that's feeling good. Then you'll start to walk the hands back up. So 2 ways to get out of this. You can come out the way we came in and just start to shift forward onto the knees, and then you'll come back to tabletop that way. If that's not working, just uncross the legs and come back to tabletop. So whichever one, but back to all fours. And this time, left knee shifts forward if you're coming into it this way, and then cross that left thigh over the right thigh and just center the hips, make a separate the feet enough so that the hips have plenty of space to go back eventually between the hips. You can always come to seated and come into it that way. Start to shift the hips back, but just hover above the mat, reaching the arms forward. It's almost like a really active child's pose, but with the legs crossed. And start to set the hips down onto the mat. Once you get there, maybe find an adjustment between the feet so that they come out a little bit wider. Left knee stacked on top of the right knee. Bottom leg could be straight forward if it's too intense. And then start to walk the hands forward, or you can just come to fingertips on the mat and start to lower the chest down toward the legs. Let the head and the neck go. Few breaths here. And start to bring the chest back up. Come back to all fours, either uncross the legs and go forward, or start to shift forward back onto hands and knees and uncross the legs, coming back to your tabletop. And then from here, step the feet back behind you and you're coming into plank pose. So we're trying to stretch out the legs here in our plank pose. Also keep that core fired up. See if you can spread the fingers wide, press down into the hands, and then try to lift up and away with the forearms away from the wrists. And if you feel like you're locking the elbows and not using the muscles, put the tiniest bend in your elbows until you feel like the biceps and triceps are working, the forearm muscles, you're reaching the heart forward, legs pull back, and you're reaching the tops of the thighs up toward the sky. So you really have to use the legs, whole body here in your plank pose, breathing in deeply through the nose and back out through the nose, keeping that breath smooth and as steady as we can. Then bring the knees down to the mat, lower the chest all the way down to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat, reach the arms back behind you. So palms face one another. Thumbs are pointing down toward the mat. Keep the feet hip width distance apart as you press down into the feet, and then reach the chest forward for Shalabhasana. Tailbone points back. Doesn't need to be a real big one. You can keep it pretty low, looking down the bridge of the nose. And then rest. Make a pillow with the hands, stacking one hand on top of the other. Forehead comes down, or you can turn the head to one side. Two more rounds of that. Lift the head up, reach the arms back behind you, squeeze those palms together as they face one another, press down into the tops of the feet, lift and spread the chest. Lengthen the lower back. Breathe. And rest. Hands come down, forehead comes down, or you turn the head the other way. Then lift the head back up, reach the arms back behind you, squeeze the hands together, lift and spread the chest, tops of the feet still pressing down. Keep that space in the back of the neck too. So shoulders are reaching back toward the hips and the crown of the head is reaching forward. One more breath. And slowly release. Rest all the way down, lower the head. Let the ankles roll out a little bit. And we'll take this into child's pose. Hands to the mat. Lift yourself back up to hands and knees. Big toes together. hips go back, forehead touches down on something, mat, block, pillow, whatever you have. Then looking forward at the hands, take this to downward facing dog. Tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back. So first downward facing dog, find any movement you like. Maybe pedaling out the feet, maybe widening the feet, or coming up high onto the balls of the feet and shifting the hips side to side. That feels good too. Then from here, bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, bring the feet up between the hands, coming into a forward fold at the very top of the mat. On an inhale, come up halfway, reach the heart forward, try to take the rounding out of the upper back, and then exhale, fold back down. 2 more like that. Inhale up halfway, no rounding in the center of the back either. Exhale, fold. Last one, inhale up halfway, hug the core in, then exhale, fold. You're coming all the way up to standing. Circle the arms up, bring the hands together at the very top. Once you get there, stay there. So root down through the legs, lift up through the fingertips, but keep the shoulders in place so they're not reaching up toward the sky. Just the arms are. Take an inhale. On the exhale, cactus the arms, elbows down and back, like you're trying to squeeze those elbows together down by the lower back. Then inhale, reach back up, hands come together. Exhale, cactus the arms down and back and low. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, elbows down and back. Inhale, reach the arms all the way up. This time, forward fold. Arms come out to the side. Fold all the way down over the legs. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips to the mat. Step the left foot back behind you. Set that left knee down to the mat. Reach the arms all the way up. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. Keep the head right over the hip. So if you feel like you're leaning forward, reach back with that right arm until you feel like the head, hips, left knee are all in one line. You can stay looking forward, or you can look to the right if you're feeling pretty stable and not wobbly, or maybe even look at that back hand and then try to get the hands in line with one another. Spread them as far apart from one another as you can. Then start to bring the gaze back forward. If you changed it, reach the arms all the way up. Hands come down to the mat, maybe still on fingertips, and you can keep the hands back underneath the shoulders, so a little farther back. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, straighten the front leg. So modified pyramid pose. Let the head and the neck go. Getting into the backside of that right leg. So if you want something more gentle, you walk the hands back, giving the leg a little bit more space. If you need more, you walk the hands forward, and you'll feel the difference in those muscles that we're opening up in the backside of the right leg. Take it easy. This isn't the time to go 100% into these poses. We're still opening things up. Then bend that right knee, look forward, step the left foot forward to meet the right. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, fingertips to the mat, right foot steps back, set that back knee down. Dig into that left heel to reach the arms all the way up, coming into your low lunge. This time, right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back for that twist. So stay looking forward until you have your balance. And then once you have it, that's when you can start playing with the gaze. And don't worry if the balance is off today. That happens sometimes. Maybe you look back at that backhand, try to get the hands in line with one another, spread them apart. Then you'll start to bring the gaze back forward. If you changed it, go slow so you keep everything where it is, and then reach the arms all the way up overhead. Exhale, bring the fingertips back down to the mat and then walk them back a little bit so they're more underneath the shoulders. They're way behind those left toes. Back toes tucked, lift the back knee, and we straighten the front leg. Fold over the front leg. Here's where you decide where you want the hands, back or more forward. Listening to your body, giving it what it needs, not forcing it into anything it doesn't want to do. Inhale forward to your lunge, big step forward, right foot steps up next to the left foot. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, this time all the way up to standing on the inhale, press down into the feet and the legs, arms out wide, hands come together, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhale, forward fold, bring it back down. Inhale up halfway. Get that rounding out of the back, and then exhale, fold, bend the knees, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, and fire up that plank pose the way we did before. So you have a couple of breaths here. Chest is reaching forward, hips are in line, so they're not going lower or higher. Heels are pushing back. And then shift forward onto the toes, bend the elbows halfway, and then slowly set yourself down onto the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat, hands way back by the lower ribs. So nowhere near the shoulders, behind the shoulders. Then lift and spread the chest, Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale, release. Plank pose to downward facing dog or hands and knees to downward facing dog. You decide which one's better. Hands and knees is always a great way to cut the weight on the upper body. So if you're dealing with anything on the upper body, definitely keep the knees down. It'll help support some of that weight. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk. Some of you might lightly hop, bring the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing on your inhale. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, hands to the mat, step back to plank pose, shift forward onto the toes, lower down halfway, chaturanga, chest open, up dog or cobra. Exhale back, downward facing dog. Bend the knees, look forward, feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Circle the arms all the way up to standing. Hands come together overhead, down in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, bend the knees, step back to plank pose. Vinyasa, take your time, lower down halfway to chaturanga, cobra or up dog. Fire up that belly wherever you are. Use it to lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, step the right foot up between the hands, coming into a runner's lunge. Once you get there, back knee comes down, reach the arms all the way up. Then bring the arms forward, this time palms face up, left arm on top of right, eagle arms. So if eagle arms aren't working, you can always grab the shoulders, and this is a nice modification. Otherwise, backs of the forearms together, maybe the right fingertips inside that left hand. And then from here, make sure you dig down into that right heel. We'll challenge our balance a little bit. You can start to reach the forearms up, keeping the shoulders away from the ears. And now you're getting deeper into that upper back, still hugging the core in, left thighs still working to keep you strong. And then you'll bring the elbows back in line with the shoulders. Fire up the legs. So you're still digging into that right heel. Back toes are tucked. You're coming up to crescent pose. So dig into both feet. Keep the eagle arms in your crescent. And then release the arms down by the sides. Reach them all the way up. Now you're in crescent pose. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back, head right over the hips. Keep spreading the arms out wide. And then keeping the head where it is, bring the hands together right in front of that right shoulder. So hands are together, chest is still up high. And now maybe you'll start to lean forward. You could tap the elbow really lightly on that left thigh. So we're playing with twists today. Don't go too far too soon. If you naturally just want to hook that elbow and you can keep the length in the spine, you can go for it, but you'll have plenty of time to get deeper later on. And then look down at the mat, hands to the mat. Make your way back, downward facing dog, with or without a vinyasa. That's up to you. So these are all optional. You're warmed up. You decide when you need them and when you don't. Left foot steps up between the hands. Find that long stride in your runner's lunge. Set the back knee down. Dig into that left heel to reach the arms all the way up, low lunge. Arms reach forward, palms face up, right arm on top of the left, eagle arms, hands to shoulders, backs of the forearms, or maybe left fingertips inside of the right heel of the hand. And then find that shoulder stretch. So reach the arms up, keep the shoulders away from the ears, gaze can go up. Scissoring of the inner thighs lightly helps you with your balance, as well as the core. Elbows come back in line with the shoulders. So fire up the legs, scissor them together. Back toes are tucked. You're digging into the sole of the left foot. Come up to crescent pose. See if you can keep the eagle arms. It's a big transition. Then arms down by the sides. Reach them all the way up. Crescent pose. Right arm reaches forward. Left arm reaches back. Up to you where the gaze goes. It could stay forward if that's feeling better. Hands come together right in front of this left shoulder. Stay up high. Keep this length all the way up through the crown of the head as you start to lean forward, maybe lightly resting that right elbow on top of the thigh, still pressing back through the right foot. Or whatever you did on the first side. Look down at the mat, hands to the mat, back to downward facing dog. You decide how you get there. Bend the knees, look forward, step, walk, get the feet up between the hands. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold. Take chair pose, Utkatasana. Bend the knees, reach the arms up. Come all the way up to standing. Hands come together down in front of the heart. Inhale, sit back, chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold, fingertips to the mat. Step the left foot way back. So you want a really long stride. Maybe you wiggle that foot back, and now we're hopping it in. So hop that back foot in, seal the heel, setting up for warrior one. So that was just to get a long stride in your warrior one. Reach the arms forward all the way up. So back leg straight, front leg has a lunge. And then from here, you could start to bring the gaze up and keep bringing the heart up at the same time. So that back bend's up to you. Just make sure that the belly's hugging in. Pubic bone and tailbone are working toward one another. And if you can keep the space in the backside of the neck, then you can keep looking up. Maybe the hands come together if the lower back is okay with that. Then start to bring the hands down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot, step that left foot forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fold fingertips to the mat. Right foot steps way back. You can wiggle it back further if you want to, and then hop that back foot in. Virabhadrasana 1, square the hips, reach the arms forward and up. Right inner thigh is trying to spin back behind you. Square the hips, shoulders away from the ears. And then maybe the gaze starts to go up once you're feeling good in the pose. Maybe the heart starts to go up. Maybe the hands come together. And bring the hands back down to the mat. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Step that right foot forward. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat any way you want. Back to downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands. Set that back knee down. Dig into the right heel, reach the arms forward all the way up. This time, arms reach straight out in front of you, palms face up, left arm on top of the right, eagle arms, whatever variation's working for you. And then find that reaching up of the forearms and the fingertips, hugging the belly in. Maybe the gaze goes up, shoulders away from the ears, but feeling the shoulder blades widen across the upper back. Elbows back in line with the shoulders, looking straight forward, back toes tucked, digging into that right heel, come up to crescent pose, keep the eagle arms. Arms come down by the sides, reach them all the way up, crescent. Left arm reaches forward, right arm reaches back. Hands together right in front of that right shoulder. Start to lean forward coming into your twist. See where the elbow naturally wants to land. Maybe outside the thigh, but don't force it if it doesn't want to. Then look down at that right foot. Step the left foot forward right next to the right foot, coming into twisted chair. Both feet on the ground, still twisted to the right. You could open up the arms wide. We did lots of shoulder opening. See how that feels? Otherwise, keep the hands together. Then come to chair pose, facing forward, reach the arms up, and exhale, forward fold. So widen the feet, go wide like to the outer edges of the mat. Clasp opposite elbows, let the head and the neck go. Nod the head yes a couple times, no a couple times. Hands back down to the mat, heel toe the feet back to hip width distance. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, however you want, back to downward facing dog. So never feeling like those vinyasas are an obligation. You want to cut back on obligations, right? Step that left foot forward, up between the hands. Back knee comes down. Reach the arms forward all the way up. So you feel this length in the spine. Keep it as we begin to cross the arms. Reach the arms forward, palms face up, right arm on top of left arm. Garudasana arms, eagle arms. Once you have that scissoring of the inner thighs, then you can start to reach the arms up. Elbows back in line with the shoulders. Fire up the legs here. Come up to crescent pose. See if you can keep the eagle arms. Arms release down by the sides, circle them up, crescent pose. Right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back. Feel that core hugging in as you come into the twist. Then bring the hands together, start to lean forward. Maybe the elbow outside of the thigh, up to you. Keep that back leg strong. And then start to look down at this left foot. Fire up that back leg. Can you step it forward up to meet the left foot? So feet together, twisted chair. And knees are side by side, right knee isn't going ahead of the left. Maybe you open up the arms wide. Chair pose facing forward. Exhale, forward fold. Widen the feet, go wide. Outer edges of the mat. Clasp opposite elbows the other way. So whichever way you don't go to first, let the head and the neck go. Nod at yes and no a few times. Fingertips back down to the mat, heel toe the feet, back to hip width distance. Inhale up halfway, slide the hands up the sides of the legs, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend the knees, hands to the mat, make your way back, downward facing dog. Right foot steps up between the hands. Set that back knee down. Reach the arms all the way up. Arms reach forward. Left arm on top of right. Eagle arms. Fingertips up toward the sky. Maybe the gaze and the heart goes up. Elbows back in line with the shoulders. Crescent pose. Take your time coming into it. Find that strength in the legs. Start to get light in the back knee and then press into the feet to rise up. Arms down by the sides. Inhale them up to crescent pose. Left arm reaches forward. Right arm reaches back. Hands together in front of that right shoulder. Start to lean forward. Find your twisted lunge, lengthen the spine up through the crown of the head. Keep that length as you look down to the right foot. Left foot steps up next to the right foot. Twisted chair, hands together or arms apart. Chair pose. And then from here, look down at the feet, shift the weight over to the left foot. Right leg crosses up high over the left leg for eagle legs. And then hands just come together right in front of the heart. So you can focus on the legs, keep the hands open, and then twist the chest to the right again. Maybe you hook the elbow on top of the right thigh. Back to center with the chest. Step the feet side by side, chair pose. Stand all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana. So root down through the legs, reach up through those fingertips, shoulders down the back. So try not to reach those up to the sky. And then forward fold, arms come out wide, fold all the way down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, hands to the mat, back to downward facing dog. You decide how you want to get there. And if you go straight back, then you just get all those breaths in downward facing dog, which is a big pose, a great stretch and strength building pose. Left foot steps up between the hands. Set that right knee down. Reach the arms all the way up. Low lunge. Arms reach forward. Right arm on top of left arm. Eagle arms. Shoulders away from the ears as you reach the forearms up. Heart up, maybe the gaze too. Elbows back in line with the shoulders. Fire up the legs, crescent pose. See if you can keep the eagle arms. Arms down by the sides. Inhale the arms all the way up, crescent. Right arm reaches forward, left arm reaches back. Hug that belly in, bring the hands together in front of the left shoulder. Start to lean forward, coming into your twist. Look down at the left foot. Right foot steps up nice and light. Coming into your twisted chair, knees even, maybe arms apart. Chair pose facing forward, reach the arms forward and up. And then look down at the feet. This time, shift the weight over to the right foot, cross the left thigh high up over the right thigh for eagle legs. Hands come together like prayer right in front of the heart. Focus on the legs. Get that strong chair pose in the right leg, and then open the chest to the left again. Maybe you hook the elbow outside of the thigh. Back to center with the chest, feet side by side, chair pose, reach the arms up, come up to standing, Urdhva Hastasana. So press down through the legs of the feet, reach up with the arms, shoulders still away from the ears, stretching out the legs a whole bunch. And then exhale, forward fold all the way back down. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, bend the knees, step back. Vinyasa, last opportunity for one if you want it. We'll meet back in down dog. Take child's pose once you get to downward facing dog. Big toes together, shift the hips back. Maybe the arms go back too. Then bring the hands down in front of you, lift the chest, bring the feet over to one side and find seated on your mat with the legs out in front of you. Make sure you have plenty of space with the mat back behind you. And then you'll lie all the way down onto your back. Walk the feet in. Press into the heels of the feet to lift the hips up, coming into bridge pose. So interlacing the fingers underneath you might be a little bit more accessible today, given the shoulder opening that we've done so far. Lengthen the thigh bones away from you. Keep those knees right in front of the hips. So they shouldn't feel like they're splaying out. They're going right in the same direction as the toes. Center of the kneecap. And slowly start to release, hips come back down to the mat. So we're doing 2 more rounds of back bends, bridge. If you want to go up for Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward facing bow, and you feel like that's a good idea for your body today, you're welcome to. I'll talk you through bridge. Press into the feet, lift the hips up, interlace the fingers underneath you, and you want to walk them so that the outer upper arms are pressing into the mat, lifting the chest. So they kind of hug underneath you a little bit. We're trying to get the hip bones higher than the belly if we can. And slowly release, bring the hips back down to the mat. If you feel like the feet are walking away from you, bring them in so they're right, the heels are still right underneath the knees. Third and final back bend, stick with bridge, or if you want, you can go into upward facing bow. So press into the feet, lift the hips up. Here's where you decide, either interlace the fingers underneath you or bring the hands back by the ears, come up onto the top of the head, and then pressing into the hands and the feet at the same time, reaching the chest forward. Slowly come all the way back down, chin to chest if you're all the way up. And let's hook the feet, crossing at the ankles, grab onto the knees like you're going to pull the knees apart, and you can just rock side to side. Cross the feet the other way, so the other foot on top. Then set the feet back down onto the mat, hug the right knee in toward the chest. So feel all that space in the lower back. You could extend that left leg out in front of you. See how that feels. If it doesn't feel good, then bring the foot back in. If it feels good, take this right knee, cross it over to the left, coming into a spinal twist. So you need to shift a little bit to get onto the side of the left hip, getting the left foot, left hip, and head in line. Reach back with that right arm. If the one-legged twist isn't working, you bring the knees together. Start to make your way onto your back again, walking both feet in, bending the legs, and then hug the left knee in toward the chest. Keep the right foot where it is. So you can kind of just take stock of the lower back, see how it feels. It should feel good here. Now extend the right leg out in front of you. See if that changed anything with the lower back. If it did, just bring that right foot back in, no big deal. And then you do your twist with the knees together, bringing them over to the right. If that leg feels good out in front of you, take this left knee, bring it over to the right, shift onto the side of the right hip, and then reach back with that left arm. Eyes can close or gaze can just be real soft. Come onto your back, use the feet to get there. And then once you're there, hug the knees in toward the chest. You can rock side to side a little bit. Then keep hugging the right knee in and cross it high up over the left leg. So just like eagle legs, but on your back. So right thigh on top of the left thigh. And then you can just hug that bottom knee in toward the body. See if you can keep the hips level. Sometimes that right hip wants to shift way up. You might need to bring it down so it's in line with the left hip. Now you can stay right here. Some of you can bring the feet out to the side, reach forward, either grabbing the ankles or the outer edges of the feet, resting the head back down onto the mat. Hips are still going down toward the mat too. And if this bothers the knees at all, you just skip it, go back to where you were, skip the feet or the ankles. So playing with our internal hip rotation today. And you'll start to release the feet if you have them. Come back to just grabbing onto that bottom knee, the left knee, bringing it in. Hips are side by side. And set that left foot down onto the mat, right foot down onto the mat. Let's cross this way. Left leg high up over the right leg. And now bring the knees in toward the chest. Hang onto that bottom knee. And then notice where the hips are. If that left hip hiked up, bring it down so that you still feel long on the left side of the torso down by the hips. Then maybe you stay here, or maybe you start to lift the head and the chest, bring the feet out wide, grab the outer ankles with the feet flexed, or grab the outer edges of the feet and then lie the head back down. So hips are still going down toward the mat. You're working the feet and the knees, or the feet and the ankles apart, whatever you have, if you have this. And you're still getting a hip opening, even if you're not hanging onto the feet or the ankles. Even if you're just hanging onto the knees, that's a great place to be. If you have the feet or the ankles, start to release, keep the legs crossed, grab onto that right knee, the bottom knee, just bringing it back in toward the body. Start to set that right foot down and then the left foot down onto the mat. Hug the right knee in toward the chest again. This time, extend that right leg up, grabbing onto the back of the right thigh. So you option to keep the left foot where it is or extend that left leg forward. If that's feeling good, you could start to walk the hands up the leg and get a little deeper into the backside of that right leg. Take it easy, find your way into it, listen to the body, make sure everything's feeling good. These are big muscles. And we need our legs to get around, so we don't want to end up overdoing anything. Then hug that right knee in toward the chest. Set the right foot down onto the mat. Left knee comes in toward the chest. Extend that left leg up, grabbing onto the back of the left thigh. Toes come down toward the face, and maybe that right leg extends out in front of you. See how that feels. So you might be fine here. These are just options. If you're good here, stay here. If you want more, you could start to walk the hands up the leg. Left knee comes in toward the chest. Hug the right knee in toward the chest. Let's take happy baby. So bring the legs out wide, grab onto the backs of the thighs, ankles, calves, maybe outer edges of the feet. First external hip opening, so should feel pretty good. Hips come down toward the mat, and you could rock side to side if you want to, only if it feels okay in the body. If it doesn't, just hold still. Then set the feet back down onto the mat, keeping the legs bent. Let's bring the soles of the feet together and the knees wide. So you can walk the feet away from you as much as you want to keep this as gentle as possible. So you're just trying to find a nice, gentle external hip opening. Bring the left hand on the heart, right hand on the belly. And the closer the feet are in toward the body, the more intense this is. So maybe you take it a little bit wider than typical. So feet farther away from you. Close the eyes. Start to breathe in through the nose for 4, 3, 2, 1, and exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a big inhale in through the nose, back out through the nose. Use the hands to bring the outer thighs in so the knees come together. Extend the legs out in front of you, arms down by the side, Savasana. Unless you'd like to come up for a seated meditation, that's an option too. Just keep the eyes closed. Start to come into stillness and rest. Plenty of work was done. You earned this. If you're in your seated meditation, stay still right where you are. If you're on your back for Savasana, start to find some small movements in the hands and the feet. Reach the arms overhead, find a stretch. And you can start to walk the feet in, bending the knees. Rolling over onto your right side, cradle the head on the arm, keep the eyes closed. Take a deeper breath in through the nose. Gentle sigh out of the mouth. Use that left hand to bring yourself up to an easy cross-legged seat, your meditation seat. Sitting up tall, feeling that bright, shining light going up through the crown of the head. Bring the hands together, slight bow of the head as you take a moment to honor and acknowledge your heart and spirit, as well as everyone around you. Bring the head back up, blink open the eyes. Namaste. Thanks, everyone. Hopefully those twists felt really good and Eagle was a little bit more approachable today. Have a great one.